Hello, David Klecker here. I am the creator of AutoHARP3. I'm going to talk about Harp Sci-Fi. I'm going to be talking about the main screen that we see here. Let's start with the header, the information that is on the top here. This picture, you can change that picture through this Manage button here. You can also change the character name through the same Manage button here. This information here, this is the race, culture, and then the profession. This number that's sitting right next to the profession, that is the level of that profession. If you have multiple professions, there will be a number associated for each profession, and added together should be the total level of your character. These levels start at 0 because I have not added a level to the character sheet. Once you add a level to the character sheet, then it will increase by 1. As I said, you can adjust the picture and the character name by going into the Manage window. Let's go ahead and click on this Manage button. We see here that I can change the character name. I can also add in a player name, who I am. We can also add in the GM's name, and we can even add in the campaign name. So I can really kind of specialize this character sheet based on all of that. The height and the weight, they have been calculated, then that's calculated based on the sex and then on the statistical information about your character sheet when you created it. Now that this has been calculated, you can, if you want, make changes to the height and weight. It's not going to affect anything in the program other than the height that you put in there is going to have some changes to the BMR, and the weight, including the stats for your strength bonus, are going to have some effects on your encumbrance. But changing this isn't going to break anything. It's just that these numbers were calculated using all of the information you used for the new character creation for this character sheet. For eyes, hair, and age, these are things that you just basically type in. They're just character traits. So I can type in brown, I can type in black for hair, and I can type in, say, 30 for age. These are just going to be held there, and if I were to print out the character sheet, on the printout for that sheet, there are places where it does give the description of, eye color, hair color, and the age of the character. The sex for this character sheet is now in a text box that you can basically change to whatever you want. Remember, when you created the character, you had 3 options. Those options were there because the database forces them. If I want to create an algorithm to get a height and a weight out of these characters, I have to limit your decision on the sex to 3 selections. Now that I have made that calculation, changing the sex to whatever you want isn't going to affect anything else in the program, so you can go ahead and make the change to this value to whatever you want it to be. Fate points, experience, and development points. I really don't do anything with those in the program. You can store fate points and experience points here. I don't really, use them for anything other than you can go ahead and just, say that you've got 3 fate points and use them however you want, and say that you've got this number of experience, and show the GM that you've got this enough experience to level up your character. Development points is not used. It's legacy software that was used in the past, and I should just probably get rid of that field. Recent events, background, personal goals, and other notes are things that are going to be located in this Notes tab. Whatever you type in here, they're going to show up when you click on the Notes tab. And picture, if I wanted to select a different picture, I could click on Browse, and then I can go ahead and start looking for a picture. If you were to go into www.root and go into the RES folder, in there is a folder called Characters, and inside here are all of these pictures that you can use for your character sheets if you want. I'm going to go ahead and click on this picture, and I'm going to go click on Close, and you can see that the picture has been updated. Moving on to armor. As you can see, I don't have any armor equipped, and there's no button to add any armor to this character sheet. This is because armor, or adding armor to your character sheet, is about adding that equipment to your character sheet, adding that inventory to your character sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and select equipment. I'm going to select manage items, and I'm going to select add item. Now inside of add item, I can choose either to select futuristic armor or futuristic partial armor. Any one of those is going to work. So I'm going to go and select futuristic armor, and I'm going to select either one of these item names. So if I selected combat armor, It gives me the ability to select a suit to integrate if I want, and any ablative or kinetic armor type if I want to add that to my combat armor as well. If I select a suit like Chameleon Suit, it's not going to give me the ability to add an integrated suit to that, nor is it going to give me the ability to add any ablative or kinetic add-ons to that. You have to select a armor to have that happen. So I'm going to select combat armor, and I'm going to select a spacesuit to integrate into that. And instead of just calling it combat armor, I'm going to call it Mars environmental combat suit, and I'm just going to call it armor, so that at least I kind of know what's going on there. There's the cost. Now, I'm not going to purchase this item, I'm just going to add it. It's a starting item. I could put in a miniaturization factor too, but that doesn't make any sense. This is armor that I need to wear. That makes more sense for weapons or other items. I could add a special bonus here. I'll come back to that later. And perhaps this could store items, and I'll come back to that later as well. Selecting on armor properties, we now see the armor type that is here, and we see the armor DB that is here. Now we see here that armor fitted is not selected. If I go ahead and select that, my maneuver for max, my max maneuver bonus and my min maneuver bonus has decreased. I can also change the armor quality to improved. That'll add some dB to my armor. I can select superior, that adds even more dB to my armor. Once I'm finished, I'll go ahead and I will add this item. And as you can see right here, right behind this window, it looks like I have added this item successfully. Before I close this add item, I'm going to select a shield, futuristic shields, blast shield. And I'm going to go ahead and select shield trained and select an ablative add-on to that shield. I'm going to go ahead and add that item as well and close. Now the armor, location-wise, can be worn, and the shield, location-wise, can be on my left arm, let's just say. This particular page, I'm going to go over this page when we start talking about equipment. But for now, I'm just going to be assigning the location for each one of these items, and I'm going to leave it as that. So I'm going to go back to main screen, and you'll notice that nothing has been updated. I have none equipped for my armor and none equipped for my shield. Well, that's a kind of a hint. If I go to the equipment tab here, you'll see that I am carrying these items, but I have not equipped these items. So I'm going to equip the armor, and as you can see, now I have that armor equipped for my character sheet. And if I equip the blast shield, you'll see that that blast shield has now been equipped. I do that because it's possible that you may have dropped it. You may have multiple things that you would like to use for a battle, and you might want to pick and choose which one you want to use for a particular battle. You might have them stored in a particular place, and so you will choose what you're going to have equipped for a battle for a certain round, and so that will be part of your armor, and that can also be part of your attacks. Clicking on this More button here, you'll see the armor penalty that we have, the armor DB, which is 100, the quickness DB bonus, which comes from the stats, and the shield DB, which is at 40. There is a special bonus and an other bonus, and where are those coming from? Well, remember I said I was going to come back and show you how the special bonus works. So if I go into the equipment tab again, and I look at this row, Mars CS armor, and I click on this pencil icon, I'll come back to the edit item for this particular piece of armor. And you'll see here that there's a special bonus field, and I can add in some value to the special bonus, and I'm going to add in a 10. I'm going to go ahead and save that change, and that change has now been added to my armor, and it has also been reflected in my DB. So then how does other bonus work? Other bonus is located in statistics, and it's located in this edit other. And there is an armor bonus other total that we can start adding to, and I can add a 10, for example, to that field, and that gets reflected in my DB. Well, what's the difference between the two? Special bonus is a special bonus that is added to the armor itself. Other bonus is like quickness bonus. It's a DB, it's a defensive bonus that has to do with the character, and it's probably coming from a talent. Let's say that like lightning defenses or quick defenses gives you a +5 or a +10 dB. How am I supposed to put that in there somewhere? Do I put it under quickness DB, armor DB? It has nothing to do with any of those things. Special bonus is a part of the armor. So I have this field out there called other bonus, and that holds in any DB that doesn't have anything to do with armor or quickness or shield. I mean, it does have a little bit to do with quickness DB of the stats, but I can't add anything to that stat. I have to add it separately in some fashion. So other bonus becomes kind of a, I guess you can call it a sundry of bonuses that we need to add to our armor that come from other places. G defense is a skill. If you start ranking up that skill, this value will be updated. Moving on to weapons. So I have two weapons that are stored here, martial arts strikes and brawling. When you're thinking to yourself, well, I have two-handed energy and I have 3 ranks in there. So how come I don't have a two-handed energy weapon attack? Well, number one, we haven't defined one yet. And number two, I don't have a two-handed energy weapon inventoried on my character. My character isn't carrying anything that is a two-handed energy weapon. So why don't we start on that end? Let's add a two-handed energy weapon to our character sheet. Now we can just go to equipment and manage items and add item, do the same thing we did with armor. But there's actually a faster way to do it. Right here is an arrow that says upload attack information for weapon skills. If I click on that, I'm going to be brought to the add item window that I just had when I was doing armor. Except in this case, the category has been selected and the weapon group has been selected. All I have to do is just choose the item name. And I'm going to choose the Assault Blaster. Now when doing that, this item requires an accessory. What accessory does it require? Well, it requires the medium power pack. And you'll see that when I click on this and go to the actual add item screen again. So it's asking if you really want to add those accessories. In order for this blaster to work, I have to have the accessory. So for the most part, you are going to say okay, unless you remember that you have it. Now, if you forget that you have it and you've added it, and let's say you spent the money, well, you're going to have to kind of come up with how to change all of that information. And there's ways to add money, to take money away, and I can show you how that's done. So you can see here that this cost now includes the required accessories. It used to cost $1,200. The required accessory was $150, so that got added to the cost. There are other things that I could do. For example, I could assign a miniaturization factor to this, or even a special bonus, but I'm going to skip that for now. Here is the weapon and attack properties, the attack size, the type. There is the required medium blaster power pack that, of course, I'm going to be adding at the same time that I add this assault blaster. The ammunition capacity, its fumble, burst bonus, range increment, point blank bonus, and even the overloaded properties are all here, and I can make updates to any of those. So I'm going to go ahead and add this item, and it will close the window in this case because this is more of a, I need to quickly add in a weapon, and I'm just going to quickly do that and then dismiss the item. I'm not really going to be adding anything more. That's the whole idea of clicking on that particular icon. If I did it through the manage items, then the window would stay up. The managing items, the idea is that I'm actually on the page and I'm adding items as I go along. Now you can see that the assault blaster is now listed here. And of course my OBs are really low. Why are my OBs so low? Well, it's because my armor penalty is low. So I'm going to have to make sure I put ranks in my armor skill when I get to that point when I start leveling up my character sheet. But as you can see, here are all of my OBs. Here are all the critical types for each one of these attacks. And here's the size. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why is martial arts strikes and brawling, why were they up automatically? Because those are what I like to call like natural attacks, racial attacks of some kind perhaps, or a special attack that these cannot be taken away from you. No one can take away the fact that you know martial arts, and no one can take a fact away from you that you know how to brawl. But they can take the assault blaster away from you, and therefore you don't have it anymore. So let's say that it was taken away, and so the equipped is now false. That is taken away, but I still have my martial arts strikes and my brawling that I can use in combat. If I want to make any sort of bigger changes to my attacks, I can always either do them from the equipment field here. So I can go into this assault blaster, I can click on this pencil icon, and I can make changes to the assault blaster there. I can always go to manage attacks, and my assault blaster is listed here, and I can always click on this button and I'm back to the exact same window that I was before. But if I'm here, I get a really detailed piece of information about what is inside of my assault blaster. And especially if it's not my default weapon, I can make it my default weapon. And so that can be done here under Manage Attacks. But this basically tells you everything you need to know about the weapon for the assault blaster, including any special notes that you might have associated with it. You can also delete attacks if you want. I don't recommend that you delete the attacks from here. What I actually recommend that you do is you delete the equipment, the assault blaster, from your character. Once you delete the item, the attack is not possible unless there is another item in there that actually has an assault blaster attached to it, and so now that attack is still possible. Remember, these weapons are attacks that you can do, and they're based on inventory that you have on your character sheet. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is talents. All of the talents for your character sheet are listed here. If you want to get the description, click on the icon here for bonus skill ranks, and it will give you the description of that talent. If you want to manage your talents, like if you want to add more talents or even delete talents or even change the description of a talent, you can do so here from this window. The professional abilities of your character are listed here. You can use these to level up your character sheet. New level bonuses is legacy. That basically means that I used to have information there, but I have moved all of that now to the professional abilities screen here. So this contains all of the new level bonuses that that used to be categorized here. I've just moved them to professional abilities because they have the same format. Languages are here. Any language that you rank up is going to be stored here, giving you the spoken and written number of ranks that you have for that language. Alright, moving on to the main skills column. This is the column that's in the middle. This lists all of your rank, or all of your skills that have at least one rank. And it contains the information about how many ranks you have for this particular skill and the total bonus. So it's real easy if you have a rank in that skill. Let's say that your GM is like, could you roll for me your culture roll? And well, it's right here under cultural roll, and it's got a +5. Maybe he's going to say, can you roll your climbing for this particular action that you're about to do? Well, there is my climbing skill, and then there's my total bonus. And the neat thing is that I can actually roll on that from here. I'm going to get to that just a little bit later. Now there's a couple of things that I can do, and the one thing that I would love to actually do to show you is going to kind of help me out later on here, and it's changing ranks for a particular skill. You may not necessarily do this at any time, but it's here on the off chance that you might want to consider, like, the GM might give you the opportunity to add a particular rank to a particular skill. So you can click on this pencil icon, and it will give you a breakdown of the ranks the types of ranks that you can have for each skill. So there are 5 types of ranks that can be a part of your skill. So there's a profession rank. We did this during the new character creation. Adolescent ranks, again during new character creation. Training package ranks that happen when you add a training package to your character sheet. Purchased ranks, again, that happen when you are adding a new level to your character sheet. And then other. Other is like a sundry of ranks. If it doesn't fall under the other 4, it falls under other. Why did I do it this way? Well, it makes it a lot easier if you're going to add a training package. I now know exactly what ranks I can delete. When it comes to purchased ranks, if you are going to remove a rank during an add level, if you're trying to put in ranks, take away some ranks, I now know exactly which ranks I get to remove. So it helps me kind of categorize these ranks so that I can easily manipulate them as you're creating your character sheet. Why would you ever want to change rank types? You might be the best person to answer that question. I just allowed that to happen here in this edit ranks for skill. How do you add ranks to a skill? Pick a rank type that you want to add ranks to. So what am I doing? I'm adding other ranks types to the skill. I don't want to add a purchased or training or adolescence or profession. I'm just doing this to kind of see what would happen if I have 10 ranks in this skill. So I'm going to edit ranks. Now, there are 0 is listed here, but I have 2 listed here. What does that mean? That means that I have 0 that I have added yet, but there are still 2 ranks that are stored in this skill, and those 2 ranks come from the profession rank. So if I add a rank, you'll see that this increases to 1. This number here increased to 1, so I now have 1 other rank type, and adding to the 2 profession rank types now gives me a total of 3. And that gives me a total skill bonus of 33. I'm trying to get to a skill bonus that I'm hoping is going to eliminate all of my armor penalty. I just want to see what it looks like when I don't have an armor penalty. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I still have 13. That's fine. I'll leave it like that. It's not a problem. So that is adding ranks to any specific skill, and that, of course, updates your total. If you wanted to change properties of a skill, for example, I want to change the property of armor, I can always click on this pencil icon. This pencil icon is the second one, edit skill information. And now I'm able to change the skill name. I'm able to change the cost of that skill. That can be handy for some talents that actually allow you to change the cost of a particular skill. If there's a talent that allows you to update the bonus of a particular skill, you can go ahead and put it there. If there is an other bonus, that could be the professional abilities that allow you to update the bonus of this skill, you can put it in the other bonus property. If you want to change the stat bonuses and how they're calculated, those are listed here as strength and agility. If you want to change them to something else, by all means you can make that change. And the resolution type, there are 6 of them. You can always, choose from any of these 6 for what the resolution type is going to be. That's useful with combat, as I do that most of the time with the move maneuvers. Frequently used is not really a property that's used a lot. I have it listed under the View All Skills page, where if you click on a toggle for frequently used, it'll highlight all of the skills that are frequently used. It's a good way for you to see which skills you use the most, kind of a quick way for you to look up skills in general. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's a skill that you're frequently using, the odds are you've got ranks in it, and it's going to show up here in this middle column, which means you'll be able to easily see it. Lock cost is something that could be used if you had to change the cost of a skill, and you want to make sure that that cost never changes. So if I change this cost to something else, and I click on lock cost, if I do any changes to, like, let's say this is a sub skill, and I change the skills cost to something else, that change won't therefore affect the cost of this skill. I have locked its cost to 2, and it won't get changed. Sub skill only, I can show you what that looks like when we get to the View All Skills screen. And allow for virtual character, that means that this skill is available to be used for virtual characters. But since AIs tend to not have armor, it's not checked. Description comes straight from the database, but you can change this. If you feel as if you need to bring the description back from the database, you can always click on reset, and that's exactly what will happen. The light bulb icon, if you click on that, will give you more information. At the description, yet again, its resolution type. It'll give you the key stats, and it'll give you the bonus breakdown so that you can see how this bonus breakdown is happening. So the rank bonus, the stat bonus. There is an other bonus in there, it's just not listed. So that other bonus is just the number of ranks that I put in there. So there's 12 ranks. But it's not listing the rank bonus. Unfortunately, I'm only listing the ranks. So maybe that's something I can add in. I can add in what the rank bonus is going to be. I just have the number of ranks. So now the next thing I would love to show you is the role icon that's listed also here on the main skills. This role icon, if let's say the GM wants you to roll on, let's say first aid, and I have a bonus of 8. Well, I'm going to click on this icon here, and it's going to show me the roll, and I rolled a 60, and I don't think that that's going to be a pass. But let's say, and I'm going to click on this a few times, let's get a couple of examples here. Let's say that I rolled a 96. Well, a 96 is a partial, and if I were to click on this, it tells me what kind of a partial it is. It gives me the percentage. It was 90% effective, and maybe there's a bonus of a -5 if I need to do it again. If there is an RR related to it, then this is the RR bonus that they need to beat, plus their resistance bonus for either, electric, stamina, will, all of those resistance skills. There's another field here that got selected that is kind of a blue, and that's 180. That means that there is, it's a double. It's a utility of a double. So there's going to be some color coding that's happening here. If it's red, that means it's been a fumble or a fail. If it's this orange color, it's going to be a partial. If it's green, that means you passed. And if it's blue, that means that you've really passed. It was an open-ended roll. And if there is no color, that just means that you failed. Now what's going on with this screen here? Let me clear this and let me roll appraisal, and so I can show you that you see the person who rolled it, the roll that they had, so they rolled for appraisal was 8, which means their roll was really high. The movement, or what's it called here? The modifier. There's a movement maneuver table here, and it's set to medium by default. I could change this to be set to hard, and if I roll down appraisal again, it'll reflect that I rolled on a hard movement maneuver or skill maneuver. It also gives me the skill that I rolled it on. So if I rolled on, let's say, first aid, it'll show me that skill as rolled. It was rolled on the hard. It was a hard maneuver. I rolled first aid, and I got a 37. You can roll generically. I just clicked on this dice icon right here, and I can roll generic dice. For example, if I wanted to roll 3 6-sided dice, I can click on that, and I can click on this icon 3 times, and then click roll, and it will show me the character, the number that I rolled, and the 3d6 that I rolled. And I do believe that because I have a maneuver here, it's taking away from that roll. So if I just put a medium down, which is a 0, and I roll again, that should help me out a little bit when it comes to the rolling. When it comes to generic rolling, I don't know if you want to put in any sort of maneuver, but I guess it's there for you to use at your leisure. So you can mix and match dice as much as you want. If I rolled this, it's going to give me all 3 different dice. It doesn't mix and match them, but you can go ahead and just add them together if that's what the GM wants you to do. You can also just roll a generic 1d100, and so it doesn't give you the skill that you rolled on. It's just a generic 1d100 that the GM had you roll. You can add any modifiers that you want to the roll as well. Let's say the GM just wants you to roll a 1d100 and you add 20 to that roll. So we go ahead and add 20 to the modifier. We click on to the generic 1d100, and I tell the GM that I rolled a 41. All right, I'm going to clear everything out here, and I'm going to click on this button here. It's going to collapse everything, and we're going to clear this out so that it's gone, disappeared. Let's go ahead and look at view all skills and see what we can look at, or see what we can do in this window. So here I can search for skills. So for example, if I want to search for acting, I can always type in acting and then click on the eyeglass icon and it'll highlight the skill for acting. If I wanted to just type in things like SUR and then do a search for that, what it's going to do is it's going to show me any skill that has that SUR located in it. And of course, foraging and survival has that skill listed. Another thing that we can do is I can show all frequently used skills. I said that we can click on this before, then it will expand and highlight all of the skills that I have set to be frequently used. So as I said, you can come here and do it if you want to look at all skills. This is the way you want to look at all skills for your character sheet. But I find that most people are rolling for skills that they have a rank in, not for skills that they don't necessarily have ranks in. I'm going to collapse everything, and I'm going to show you a couple of other things that you can do here. So for example, I can add skills. So if I wanted to add a skill to acting or artistic, perhaps I wanted to add, let's say, poetry. I can go ahead and give it a stat of maybe like reasoning and insight, and I'll do all or nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and add that skill. That skill has now been added to artistic. And let's say I wanted to add a sub-skill to poetry. Maybe I wanted to add Latin poetry. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. That's going to be insight and reasoning with an all or nothing resolution type. and I'm going to go ahead and add that subskill. And you can see that a plus icon has appeared before it. Just like in the new character sheet, when you saw these plus icons, if you click on it, it will display the subskills that are part of that skill. A couple of other things that we can do here is under combat. Let me show you a few things. You'll notice that this particular skill has no pencil icon for ranks. If I were to show you what's going on in the edit skill, you'll see that it says subskill only has been checked. If I uncheck it, this allows me to add ranks to the skill. And by checking this, it says that only the subskills of this skill can be ranked. So therefore, I can't rank the skill, but I can rank any of its subskills. What else can we do? We can add in a category, a new category if that's what you would like to do. And we can delete any of these skills if you feel as if there are skills that your character is never, ever going to use. You can go ahead and just delete them altogether. All right, let's go back to main screen. All right, let's go to statistics. These are the statistics that are part of the game. These are the values, the stat values for each of these statistics. The bonus that comes from the stat value, the racial bonuses that I have assigned, any special bonuses that you have assigned, and then the total bonus. Now I can make changes by clicking on this pencil icon here. I can update the stat value. That will update the stat bonus on its own. And I can go ahead and update either the racial bonus and or the special bonus. And then all three of these fields will update the total bonus on its own. The BMR listed here is coming from your height, and of course I do believe it comes from your quickness stat bonus as well. There's a table in the database that determines your BMR based on that information. You can adjust this BMR. In fact, you can adjust the BMR, the initiative bonus, you can adjust the armor penalty, you can adjust the other bonus that's listed here, and you can adjust a combat awareness bonus by clicking on Edit Other. Here's how we can adjust the initiative bonus by changing that to 14. Combat perception, if I have that talent, I can go ahead and just make that change here. I have a minus 21. If I want to change my BMR to 3, I can just add 1 to that. If I want to get rid of my armor penalty, just set it to 0. I can go ahead and add 13 here. And I've already added 10 to my other bonus. And if I save changes, you'll notice that all of these updates have been added to my character sheet. All right, equipment. There's a lot that happens with the equipment, so let's get started with this one. I've already showed you how to add in weapons. I've already showed you what happens when you select a weapon that has a required accessory, and I've already showed you how armor works. Another thing that's here is we have the encumbrance penalty, we have the weight that this character is carrying, and we have the max pace of which this character can move. Now I told you that we can add money to our character sheet. I'm going to do that through the Manage Items, but you can always click on Manage Coins. Clicking on Manage Coins or clicking on this icon here is going to bring up the exact same window, and it's this window here. Now how do I give myself more coins, or let's say I'm robbed, and how do I take coins away? Just simply put in a new value for what your money is right here. How many souls do you have? Did you spend 50? Well then, let's take 50 out of here manually. This is just a manual edit, so I'm going to go ahead and save changes, and now I have 10,010 souls located in my money purse. So in the side of this item page, I have the item categorized, futuristic armor, futuristic shields, and so if I go ahead and add an item with a different category, that will show up here as well. I have the amount, I have its cost, I have its location. Now I don't have the location for Assault Blaster or Medium Blaster Power Pack, but that's because I don't have any place to put them. I mean, unless I have them in my hands. I have its weight, I have whether or not that they are carried, I have whether or not that they are equipped, I have the ability to edit, I have the ability to delete, and I have the ability to look at more information. That's all listed here, including the description. Let's add in a couple of other things that you might be considering adding to your character sheet. For example, one of them could be grenades. For example, futuristic grenade types. I might be willing to add in some grenades. For example, I might add in a concussion grenade, a Mark 1. And instead of adding 1, I'm going to add in 5 of these. You'll notice that the cost reflects the amount that I'm trying to add. And if I wanted to make any other changes to this, like let's say I wanted to update any sort of attack or weapon properties, I can go ahead and do that. But this should be perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to purchase this item. And you'll see that money has been taken out of my purse. You'll also see that I now have the grenades under the futuristic grenade types. I have 5 of them, and they're not equipped, but they are carried. I will equip them when I'm ready to throw them. But here's the thing, and I now have these grenades, and I have this blaster, and I have this power pack, and where am I supposed to put all of this stuff? Well, you know, the armor could have a place to put the assault blaster. It's a possibility. If that's what we want to do, then perhaps what we can do here is we can go into the edit for the armor, and I can click on can store items, and I can put in maybe there is a 10 kilogram capacity for these items. In saying that this combat armor can store items, I can now come here to the assault blaster, and I can select that item as a location. I can even do the same thing with my concussion grenades. I can select this item as a location, and I can even do that for my power pack. I can select the armor as my location. As long as I'm not going over 10 pounds, that's 5.6 pounds, or 5.6 kilograms, I should say, that I'm doing just fine. The other neat thing too about having items that store other items is, let's say for example that I decided to take off my armor. Well, that then removes all of the items that were in that armor to begin with. And if I put my armor back on, well, that will restore everything that is that comes from that armor. Notice though that it doesn't restore the equipped. Again, equipped is something that's more related to combat. If it's equipped, that means I'm going to be able to use it for that particular round. If it's not, if I'm not even in combat, I don't think equipped is going to be that big of a deal. I think the GM's going to come up to you and say, hey, you have this item, just use it. I'm going to assume that you've equipped it, and I'm going to assume that you're going to be able to use it. In combat, it's a little bit more specific because there might be multiple weapons that you have, and we need to decide which ones you actually are equipping and which ones you are not. The last thing I think that, there's a couple more things to show you. For example, let me go ahead and add another item. Let me add in, let's see, personal gear. Let me add in a utility belt. So let's purchase that. And then let's go to computers, communications, and scanners, and let's go and add an audiovisual recorder. And in adding this, I want this to be actually something smaller. I want to miniaturize this. So I'm going to select this as a miniaturization of 3. Anytime I miniaturize an item, this 3 is going to be multiplied into my cost. So when I say purchase item, it's not going to cost 100, it's going to cost 300. And it's going to be added then to my character sheet. And if I go into audiovisual recorder and I click on the pencil icon, that miniaturization factor still remains. Now, the utility belt is a storage device, so I should make sure I select the storage device and give a capacity in kilograms. I'm going to go ahead and say that this utility belt is worn around my waist, and I'm going to say that the audiovisual recorder is stored in the utility belt. So that is also showing you how miniaturization works. It's simply enough, it's just a factor. So whatever the miniaturization factor is going to be multiplied into your cost. The last thing to show is a create combine device. This just adds the add item window with a left panel that allows you to add in items to create this larger device. And to show you how this works, let's try to create the aliens gun from the movie Aliens. So I'm going to select the futuristic ranged weapon. I'm going to select two-handed energy and an assault blaster. Again, this requires an accessory. I have a medium power pack already that I could use, but what if I wanted to say that this medium power pack is built into this accessory? So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to add that item to my device, and as you can see, I have the assault blaster and the power pack built into the same device. Let's say I wanted to add in the what is it going to be, the grenade launcher. So I'm going to go ahead and futuristic range weapons, handheld launchers, and I'm going to select grenade launcher, and I'm going to add that item to my device. I don't know if I have a ability to do a flamethrower. Is it spread weapons maybe that has a flame? Yeah, flame repeater, I suppose. Could be. I'm not quite too sure exactly. I'm just going to assume that that's that's a flamethrower. I'm not too sure exactly where to find the flamethrower. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. That also came with an accessory, probably needing fuel to make this happen. So I'm going to add that to my device. That's my flame repeater and medium plasma pack. I think that's just a normal gun, but you get the idea. And maybe there's a couple of other things like weapon accessories, like I want to add a holographic sight. This also is going to require an accessory that's going to require a mini cell. I want that to be built into the device as well. And I think I would love to have a weapon scope that's attached to that, and I'm going to add that. So there's a lot of items in this device. But as you can see, I can go ahead and I can build this device. I can put them all together. I can even miniaturize this if I want to. That's just going to increase the cost. Right now my cost is at $47.20. So if I made that a times 5 miniaturization, that's going to cost me close to 30 grand. That's kind of expensive for a gun. I'm going to leave it just like this. If I want to have any kind of description associated with this, I suppose I can do that. But I have the device name, I have its cost. I'm going to go ahead and purchase this, and then I'm going to close. And as you can see, it's adding to my character sheet. It calls it Aliens Gun. It's not inside of any category, but it does give it the sub-header of combined device. And so if I went ahead and I edited this, it's going to bring me back to the edit combined device. And I can click on any one of these and I can go ahead and just edit what you see here. So let's go and close that up. And the other thing worth looking at, let's go back to main screen and let me show you how this works. Equipment. Let's go to Assault Blaster, and I'm going to, I got the blast shield equipped. I'm going to equip my armor. And you'll notice that I have martial arts, strikes, and brawling selected, but I have an Assault Blaster, and I haven't selected it yet. But I have this Aliens Gun. I'm going to equip this. And as you can see, I now have all of the attacks that happen from that combined item. The Assault Blaster, the Grenade Launcher, and the Flame Repeater. Alright, let's go to Psi Abilities. Now you'll see that I have abilities listed, and the reason why I have these abilities listed is because I have ranks inside of this the Psi ability, or the Psi category called Psychokinesis, this field called Psychokinesis. So these are all of the Psi abilities that are related to that Psi field. Now if there's any change that you want to make to these Psi abilities, you can go ahead and do that. You can do it from here if you want to by clicking on this pencil icon, and you can go ahead and make changes to any of these properties that you are able to make changes to, and it will save these changes to your character sheet. Another thing that you can do is you can go to Manage Psi, and you can basically look at all of your Psi abilities from here by clicking on the Psychokinesis category. You can see the description for each of the Psi abilities. You can click on tiers, and you can get all of the descriptions for each one of the tiers. You can go ahead and even make some edits to any one of these tiers if you want to. You can delete them if that's what you want. You can click on this icon here that gives you an idea of what the area of effect, the duration, range, and all of that different information for it. One thing though that is going to be very important, let's say you add a new level to your character sheet, and you have talents that have added to your ability to assign an active tier, the highest active tier that you can use for a field. To make that change, let's say that you've added enough talents so that your highest active tier can now be a 4. To make that change, we come here to this pencil icon, highest active tier, and we change that to say 4, and that will be reflected. And when you run combat, you will be able to select up to active tier 4, anything for Psychokinesis and for whatever Psi ability you're going to use for that combat. And that's basically Psi abilities for the most part. There's really not a whole heck of a lot that happens with that. It's all based on the Psi Field, the ranks that you have in there, the active tier. So when we get to combat, you'll see a little bit more, or actually a lot more, of how these Psi abilities can work with your character sheet. For notes, again, as I said, all of these are part of manage. So if I come in here and I just like have a recent event, just won the lottery, and I click on close, it's live, so I click on close, it'll print that out to my notes. So you can print out a background, other notes, personal goals, recent events, anything that you can use for your character sheet for that time. Anything that you've done that you want that you want to remember for your character sheet, kind of creating a bit of a background story, and even recent events like a journal that you can use. It can help you out with however you want to play your character out for that day. Social class is going to happen when we have Sci-Fi Extreme installed. Beyond that, that's it. That's all I really have to show you for the main screen. There is a lot, and so hopefully I showed you everything that will help you with this main screen. If there's anything that I missed, please put your comments below. Let me know. Maybe I can go ahead and shoot an appendix that goes through some things, maybe some things in more specific. If there's more things that you want me to do that are specific, I can always go ahead and shoot a tutorial for that as well.